Okay, let's see. Let's see who shows up. If you're here, please say hello. And if for any reason there's like a problem with my audio or anything like that, let me know so I can fix it. Because we had like a while back, everyone was like, "Ah, I can't hear what you're saying. I don't know what you're saying." Also, I demonetized this video right now, so um, you won't be interrupted by ads. So, yeah. um, who's here? AJ, I know you're here. Anybody else here? This could be premature. Well, I guess I'll start this one off. This could go really quick. This could go really fast. Oh, we got some people here. Folks, if you're here, please say hello. That way I know who is here. Um, and then, of course, post any questions that you have. What I want to do is I want to kind of talk about. I'm going to be approaching 100,000 subscribers pretty soon. And that's really awesome. And I'm really excited for it. So I want everyone basically to give me their suggestions in terms of what they think I should do when I cross 100,000 and how we should celebrate it. You know, do like a giveaway or make something that like everyone's wanted me to make that I haven't been able to make. And maybe we can kind of like troubleshoot that and see what can be done. So kindly sound off in the comments, please. That way I know who's here, what you want, and what we can do. And again, if there's any sound issues, if you can't hear me, tell me so I know. Because the last thing I want is people going, "What was that? I can't hear what you're saying." I'm not kidding. Type your name. Say hello. I can't host this whole thing by myself. Do a giveaway and have someone do a small voice cameo in an upcoming film. George, hey, how are you? Uh, I'll see what I can do about voiceover work, AJ. You do need to get a decent mic. I know that you've been recording on your phone, and it's good if I need to like distort the voice, but to get something clear, you got to get something like this thing. They're like $50 on Amazon, but I would highly recommend it. It would just be awesome in general to have. Cheap Tunes, hi, hello, thank you for coming. Um, I'm going to assume I'm on a delay here. I don't know how long the delay is, but I do think there is a bit of a delay. So I'll be more patient, I promise. I have a hyper quadcast now. Oh, cool. Send me like a voice sample whenever you get a chance, and if it works, then I'll definitely send you some stuff. Um, if you're just sorry, if you're just tuning in, like I said, we're going to be discussing what to do when I reach 100,000 subscribers, and these are one of the very few instances where anything goes. So feel free to make your suggestions. Don't go crazy and don't just start suggesting balls to the wall, insane ideas like Godzilla versus Voltron or something dumb like that. Something that's obviously within my capabilities of nothing. I have nothing, so I can do a lot with nothing, but be gentle. Um, Christoph, hey, how are you? I saw your post about Tron. That'd be awesome. I would love to actually do Tron, but I was really thinking about it, and it is definitely out of my means. Like just the costume alone, whether I go practical with the lights or I do it in post, it's a pain in the ass. And then creating the grid would just be really hard. Um, I want to say it was back in 2012. I did attempt to do a Tron fan film called Reality Run. However, that idea was bringing a program into our world. Sounds so original, right? A program coming into our world. And now they're making a whole movie about that. But that was the idea I had. And I actually had Cindy Morgan, who was Yori in the original Tron film. She was attached to the project, but unfortunately, the whole thing went south. she didn't make it to set, and then I couldn't do anything with it. But that was the closest I got to making Tron, was setting it in our world, because I thought, okay, well, maybe I can do a couple of shots where the suit's glowing, but when they come here, it'll kind of fade. And that was like my excuse. But yeah, if I ever did like an actual movie about Tron himself, not just why do people say the world of Tron? It's not the world of Tron. It's Tron, the guy. It's a guy, and he has his world. But if I ever did anything about Tron, I'd want to do it about actual Tron, and I want it to be in the grid, and can't afford that. Um, what will be the future of the Batman third movie? Okay, so regarding the Batman, I actually wrote a feature script for the Batman, which incorporates the first two chapters that you saw, the first two parts. And for the third one, um, I just basically wrote out a feature that told the whole story. And it's really like intense and violent and dark. But to pull, excuse me, to pull that one off, I would need like $100,000 or more, maybe 250, because he like takes out a SWAT team in an abandoned mall. He's fighting a guy on a rooftop of a hospital, and there's just all these intense action sequences that I'd really want to be able to pull off in these really cool urban locations that I don't really have access to right now. And of course, when I say, like, when I talk about budgets, I also want to be able to pay my actors. I don't want to just keep asking people to donate their time to me and shoot a movie for $100. I want to actually be able to pay someone professionally to be in my project, and then shoot it and edit it and get it scored and have a real thing to give, and not just a little YouTube short. So in terms of the Batman 3, it's definitely going to be a feature. It won't be there won't be a third short film. I can't see myself doing that, given the what I've written for the feature. It's too cool. Um, glow in the dark masking tape, form the grid thoughts. Um, that would work in theory if I had a really large location, but right now I'm operating out of like a storage room in the basement of my building, which you've seen in a lot of my stuff. It was featured in the Batman. It was featured in, let's see, I've shot the first thing I shot there was, oof, I want to say like in 2019. So Frenzy 3 was shot in there. Um Amalgam was shot in there. Black Terror was shot in there. The Batman was shot in there. Um, some a scene from The Shadow, Mr. Terrific. I keep using that storage room. I have to keep relighting it and figure out how to make it look. The Dark Man was shot in there, and I don't have the space to make what I need if I were going to just use glow in the dark tape and a grid on the floor like that. I need something that's like a warehouse, so I'd have depth and can move around in. Um, what else we got? Introspective dude. Any chance you'll return to your version of Superman from your Joker series? Um, no, that was supposed to be a Nolan style Superman, and I think we already saw that with Henry Cavill's Man of Steel. Like when I made Die Laughing, that was 2010. That was long before Henry Cavill was cast as the character, before Zack Snyder took over. I think even before The Dark Knight Rises came out, and I was just trying to see how Superman would fit into that world and how he would have to essentially be more aggressive, and then seeing what Zack Snyder did with Superman, where he was too aggressive. I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want to see that kind of Superman. I think what James Gunn did with David Corn Sweat is the way to go for Superman, just having to be a happy, wholesome kind of guy in a cynical world. Um, so no, I don't think I'll be revisiting that version of Superman, because I don't want to see that version of Superman. I had it when he was taking on the Joker, that the Joker called his bluff. And even though he tried to be tough, he was still at the end emasculated by the Joker. So it's like there's nothing left to see as far as I'm concerned. He's not going to call that bluff. He's not going to get violent. He's not going to kill anybody. He's not going to melt the Joker's head with his heat vision. So I don't think there's anything left to explore with a Nolan style Superman that wasn't already explored with Man of Steel. Um, Any other features being planned other than the Batman 3 turned Haunted City? Well, so the Batman is just the Batman. There's no like 3 next to it. But you're just for the short films, you saw chapters that were part of now the feature script, but it would just be the Batman. Um, Haunted City and Turned are, yes, feature scripts that I've written that I'm developing. And when I say developing, meaning I'm looking for people who have money to give to me to make them into features. The scripts are written, the pitch decks are made. I have it all mapped out in my mind. I just need money to make it happen. Lots of money to make it happen. But to answer your question, AJ, I have right now I'm writing Phantom and Fury, which is a Phantom Lady and Ms. Fury team up feature. Um, no idea if I'll ever make that, but I got bored the other day, so I started writing it, and so far so good. Um, and then the last feature I wrote was, I guess, the Batman, and prior to that was Sugar, and prior to that, I have to check my own stuff. I've written so many things I don't remember what I've written anymore. Um, let's see, Warrior was one of them. Robot Princess from Planet X. That was, I wrote a feature length script for Robot Princess from Planet X because I love that story so much. Will we ever see the chaos that happened in your world once the Protector disappeared? Um, you did. When the Protector disappeared, real life happened. People forgot to care about superheroes, and you had like the McCarthy era, and you had the Korean War, the Vietnam War, Nixon, Watergate, uh, Saddam Hussein. You had Grenada, the Persian Gulf War, 9/11, all that stuff. That was why I had the Protector disappear, because I needed. If you have a metahuman superhero in your comic world, and they are there indefinitely, especially in the past, you start to, in order for the audience to kind of agree with it and go along with it, you need to ask yourself, well, wait a second, how is this world reflecting my own? And if there is a Superman type character back then, why do we still have wars? Why wasn't, now I've limited the powers of the Protector. He's not a god. He has super strength and can fly. It's kind of like Mr. Incredible levels of power, but like Watchmen did a really good job with, when you have a godlike character, Vietnam ended in like a couple of weeks because Dr. Manhattan was there and stuff like that. So when I take my superhero out of the equation, real life happens again. So I removed the Protector in the late 1940s, early 50s, and that way regular history could continue. So that when I introduce my modern and present day superheroes, it's not a world that's so unlike our own. I think with like with the DCU, they were saying that superheroes have existed for 300 years. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to assume that those superheroes, none of them were at the level of Superman, which is why that world still closely mirrors our own. I'm like rambling and stuttering, so try and like make sure I'm not going too crazy, and if I am, please call me out. But that's kind of why things are the way they are in my world, why the Protector doesn't exist. And yes, to answer your original question, that's what happened. Once the Protector disappeared from the timeline, there is no more super activity. So things just go back to normal with wars and all that shit. I need some water, excuse me. What's your next public domain character that you're planning to direct? That would be Ms. Fury. If you click the link below in the description, there is a link to the GoFundMe for Miss Fury, and it's going to be a nice, violent action movie. We're going to see the character be furious. One of the problems with a lot of public domain characters is that all the female ones have the exact same origin. They are bored socialites, debutantes, upper class women who are bored and they want to have excitement, adventure. So they throw in a costume and fight Nazis. Okay, that's fine for the 1940s, but we're living almost 100 years later. We need to spice that up a little bit. So I kept that with Phantom Lady. I kept that she is, you know, a socialite in a sense. She's the daughter of a senator, so obviously she's rich and she has status, but she fights crime, but not for thrills. She's got a clear sense of justice and is really pissed off about political corruption. And that's why I focused on that with the first Phantom A short and will continue to in follow-up stories. For Miss Fury, on the other hand, you don't get a name like Fury and not be a raging ball of anger issues. So I'm not going to spoil it, but basically for her, she has a real problem that she can't solve, and she's using her time as Miss Fury to compensate for this really big problem. Hopefully, when you see it, you'll like it and understand it better. I'm being cryptic right now, but I think it'll be really cool. But I strongly advise you to um, go to the link below and just, if you can, help me out. I'm only looking for $500 just for the costume, basically. But if we can pull it off, I can make Miss Fury and have that released either by end of year or beginning of next year. That's the goal. Would the death emissaries from Haunted City be concerned with the Metro City slasher if they're connected in any way? Good question. So the way I handled the Metro City slasher, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen my true crime short films, I did 2 of them. We kind of I implied basically that the Metro City slasher is this omnipotent being known as, its consequences incarnate. So when you go down this rabbit hole of listening to true crime podcasts about the Metro City slasher, eventually you become one of the things that he's hunting, and it's very like cosmic horror at the end of it. And I feel that if the Metro City slasher is a force of nature itself, it would not conflict with that of the emissaries, because death is a force of nature and the emissaries are an extension of death. So if death is like, and the reason why the emissaries exist are to right injustice. So it's basically if you were killed before your time or unceremoniously, karmatic justice will ensue and an emissary will go after your killer for you and avenge your death and something like that. Whereas if you're getting killed by the act of consequence, you basically chose to die because you listened to this podcast and it came for you at the end of the day. So I don't see any of the emissaries going up against the Metro City slasher for that reason alone, because it's a part of nature basically. It's you want it. It's like the puzzle box in Hellraiser. You open the box, they came, and that was that. So you listen to the podcast, he comes, he kills you, done deal. It's just yeah, it's about temptation. 20 plus years later, from clicking the download link, moving to YouTube, taking on BFF, to now is nuts. To another 20 years. Thank you, Makota. Yeah, we're actually going to be hitting 22 years in January. I really, really can't comprehend that I've been doing this for 22 years in January. I really started in like December of 2003 with incorporating Blinky Productions and planning my project, but it was January 1st, 2004 that I actually filmed something. So going into 2026 is insane. I would, because I was 22. So that's literally half my life. I was 22 when I started officially in, no, it was, I can't math right now. I think I was still 21. Sorry. I was 21 when I started because I was born in October of 82. So yeah, half my life I have been making movies. That's pretty nuts. Literally half my life. So I would definitely like another 20 more, please. Thank you, Lamb Dog. Thank you very much. I'm glad you appreciate my work. Good luck on Miss Fury movie. It's about damn time that character is getting a movie, as she was notorious inspiration for Catwoman. She was. It's pretty crazy when you look at it because she's in a cat suit. Now, when Catwoman ironically first arrived, she was not in a cat suit. She's in like this green dress with a domino mask and everything. But eventually they gave her the suit that like Michelle Pfeiffer wore is pretty much the exact same suit that Miss Fury had in the 1940s. It's insane. So yeah, I promise you though, the characters will be night and day. Like if you were to watch my Catwoman shorts and then watch Miss Fury, you're not going to notice any similarities whatsoever. And that's always, an important thing to me is not ripping off my own stuff or ripping off anybody else or just being lazy. I want everyone to feel unique. Have you grown as a creator since first starting out? Yes, anybody would grow, I would hope, over the course of 22 years. I remember when I first started, the very first like short film. The first thing I did was Baby Punisher, which was a trailer, and that was about a minute long, and it was a parody of the Punisher with his kid making a mess in his room and his mom punishes him, set to the audio from the 2004 Thomas Jane teaser trailer, like the announcement trailer, when he was still blonde. They didn't even dirty up the shirt yet. But my first short film was called Axe Massacre, and I released that in 2004. That took, I want to say, several days to shoot. Um, and because I was so new, I didn't know all my shots at the time. So it had a documentarian style feel because I'm on a handy cam. And instead of knowing where I wanted my action to be, I kind of followed the action. And I have these really long takes of my actors just talking. And because they didn't 100% know their line, there's a lot of yeah, yeah, and in what they're saying. And it does feel like they're vamping for the camera, because instead of me doing like a close up on someone, an over the shoulder shot of another person, and cutting back and forth and having a tight edit, they're just these long unbroken takes of like three or four people in a room talking. And then the worst part is like I'm panning back and forth to people talking, and it's not as good as it could be because I don't know all the skills yet that are needed to be a filmmaker. uh when it came to the horror, that was crystal clear in my mind how I wanted to shoot it, like having these specific shots of like the head here and the axe coming here, or a low to the ground shot looking up at the guy and stuff like that. So I would say over the course of the last 22 years, I've definitely understood now how to tell a story, through scenery, through editing, through angles, and then just being a more stricter director when it comes to dead air, having silence falling in between scenes, or having continuity, knowing that when a shot has run its course and then I need to cut to a different angle, knowing, oh, I got to go all the way over here, because if I shoot here and then I take 3 steps this way and I shoot, it's not going to look good. You have to go to a different angle so the mind can kind of like reset and understand like it's a movie as opposed to an amateur who doesn't know how to set up a shot. So and also having patience as a director, being able to not want to rush through all the boring stuff just to get to the action, making sure that that boring stuff is entertaining also. These are things that I learned as a filmmaker, um, as opposed to just you know doing what you want to do and then not putting any effort into the stuff you don't want to do. Because why are you doing any of it at all? Why do you have a boring scene in your movie in the first place? Everything should be entertaining, even if it's a still scene, even if it's just a dialogue scene. It should be entertaining. The dialogue should be good, or the acting should be good, and or the camera angle should be good. So I learned that. That's what I learned. Any other questions? And again, the floor is open. This is a town hall. So I kindly remind you all to voice your opinions in terms of what we can do when we cross 100. Um, I'm hoping that it is before the end of the year. That way I can kind of put my efforts towards January in 2026 and doing something for then, as opposed to having it drag out any longer than it has to. I mean, I've been on here for literally 20 years and I'm just getting to 100,000 now. So again, uh, sooner is better than later. So please, voice your opinions and let me know what I can do. When will we see the return of the Centurion? Um, I don't know. I did a radio play with her, I want to say in 2020 or 2021 or 22. I don't remember. I think it was 22. Um, and that was a fun thing. Um, I don't have any solo stories that I want to tell with her right now, but if the demand is there, obviously I will put that effort in. I'd have to cast a new Centurion. That's the tricky part is finding someone who has that look, someone who's got the broad shoulders and the square jaw and the blonde hair and just like that heroic look. You get a lot of people who respond to your castings, but it's rare that you find someone who just looks like they stepped off the page. And forgot to silence my phone for this. Um, Still interested in a Methodic remake? Yes, I am. I would love to do a Methodic remake. I would just like to have a budget to pull it off. I'd want to spend more time in the mental hospital, and I'd want to have a little bit more of a larger action sequence. And the problem with that is, first off, oh, just go back to the original hospital you shut. Number one, no, I can't because it's demolished. They destroyed it back in 2015 and they turned it into a park. And two, even if that hospital was still standing, it was inactive and not kept up. Even just a year after I filmed there, I went back for Ghost Hunters because I was being interviewed by them, and it was completely dilapidated. Like Father Time just beat the shit out of it. So if I ever did a Methodic remake, I need a real budget because I would need to rent that location again. I would need to, or not that location, but a mental hospital, and I would need to have a larger cast, a larger crew, and really try and pull off a solid modern day movie as opposed to, I was 24 years old when I made it, and I had a budget of $30,000, and I had just barely pulled it off. Like there are still some scenes in there that dragged and need to be sped up, and I did that all in the remake script. So I want to do it, just need money. Any other thoughts or suggestions? What do we got? Christoph, are there any projects of yours that you'd want to remake or interested in working on newer stuff? In terms of remaking, I mean, I'm open. I would love to, remake the Nightmares on Halloween because I did that in 2004 and then the sequel in 2011. And obviously, you could just see a quality jump from just 7 years. I mean, imagine if I did it now, and I had like quality costumes for like Freddy and Pinhead and Jason, Michael, and Leatherface, and was able to tell that story again and maybe even continue it a little bit further. Also, that I'm in California, I could literally go to the Myers house and get that. I can go to the Nightmare on Elm Street house and get that if I need. There's no shot that took place there, but my point is, I'm closer to all of the locations than I ever was. Um, so that's something It's a pipe dream for that one. I had talked about remaking Friday the 31st, Michael versus Jason. Um, Not sure what else I'd want to remake. I basically, if people like suggested stuff, I'd totally do it. Um, Given budgets and everything. In terms of working on newer stuff, obviously I love doing newer stuff, and I love just pushing my boundaries as a filmmaker, seeing what I can and can't do, and what I can pull off. And if I can't pull it off, find a way to pull it off. That always makes me feel good about myself. So we'll see. Is there any films you made you haven't released that you would redo? Yeah. So there's a couple that I haven't released. I never got to finish the Nightlark series that I started in 2016 because I had moved at the time and the whole thing fell apart. But since then, I've developed my characters a lot more. So it would be fun to remake Nightlark, and Centurion's in that one actually, and Frenzy is in that one as well, and have that one come together. But that might be limited by budget. Um, Axe Massacre, my original 2004 short, is unreleased now. I had it on my channel for the longest time, but I took that down. There is the Santa Slasher test footage and from 2005, and then there is the 2008 short film that I put up there, and that was sort of like a remake, basically. But I would like to obviously revisit that. Then there's my original Escape Big Trouble in New Jersey, the Snake Plissken Jack Burton team up from 2005. That used to be on my channel, and I took that down because the quality wasn't where I wanted it to be. There's actually a scene we shot Jack Burton in a truck, but the truck was parked at night and the camera quality was so low, and on top of it you could tell he wasn't moving. So I ended up doing like an animatic where you just see like a still of him like talking with his mouth open and mouth shut and everything. And it'd be nice to redo that, although I did technically remake it with Escape from New Jersey in 2010, and that was a solid storyline as far as I'm concerned. um and then what else was there? I think that's kind of it in terms of unreleased project. Oh, Hellblazer. But that wasn't mine. I did Hellblazer in 2007, and I played John Constantine. And the project wasn't released because the audio was terrible in some shots because I wasn't behind the camera, and the people who were working the camera did a shitty job. And then just I didn't have a solid understanding of the character at the time. I basically just ripped off, Jack Sparrow, and that wasn't a good idea. So that got shelved and was never released. I think that's about it in terms of stuff that I've actually filmed and haven't put out. Also, I didn't write that script either, and it's really boring. It's pretty much just me with this demon at a bar for like 5-6 minutes, and we're talking, and then I shoot him with holy water, and then yeah, it was stupid. But anyway, I think that was it. What else we got here? Without the scene Axe Massacre remake, so would I, Makota. Do you still have access to some of your really old stuff, like your Captain America short that you were working on and never finished? Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. Captain America was actually, that footage was destroyed, unfortunately. Um, we shot, I want to say, almost all of it, but it looks so terrible that I think I deleted everything. Oh no, sorry, I didn't delete it. It was on a hard drive that got destroyed in transit. So I lost everything I had for it. And then I had thrown out the DV tapes at some point. So that one was lost to time, unfortunately. It wasn't good. Um, I would like to remake that. But again, so much time has passed since I was doing the retro Marvels that it wouldn't make sense to revisit it now. I'd have to just do it independently. And I don't know. I'd have to get a cap shield again. I'd have to get a new cap suit. I just did US Agent, and I have so I have a US Agent shield, a Taskmaster shield. I don't have space for a Captain America shield in my apartment. But it was a good script, though. It's a shame I never got to do that one. Any thoughts on going back to and doing a new Jesse Quick project? I don't have any thoughts on it, but if there's a demand for Jesse Quick, I'll revisit it. Um, I don't have any particular stories to tell with Jesse Quick, so open to suggestion. We'll see. Um, I loved your Agent Coulson shorts. Thank you. I appreciated those as well. Um, I don't think I'll be revisiting Coulson either. I think the joke has since passed. I made those shorts as a reaction to him getting killed in Avengers, but then they did Agents of Shield and brought him back. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess my job is done. They gave Clark Gregg his own series, so he's fine. Never got a thank you, but he's fine. Um, any other suggestions or things that you think that I should do if I cross 100,000 subscribers? Again, open to ideas here. Otherwise, I'll wrap this up because I don't want to waste anyone's time. I don't want to take up your Saturday afternoon. Have you ever thought about doing a documentary about yourself and your own personal timeline and history? I would have to have the biggest ego in the world to do a documentary about myself. Um, and I've already been accused of being egotistical and whatnot. So the last thing I want to do is to film myself asking questions to myself. I would do it as a joke, where it's like Chris.R. Notarilli presents Chris.R. Notarilli, the story by Chris.R. Notarilli. I would do it as an absolute parody, where I'm interviewing myself and being like, so, Chris, tell me about your journey. And then you'd see like a shot of me with like a scarf around my neck and like a beret and glasses, and I'd be talking about cinema. But I would never do anything serious because I just think that's just way too egotistical. What about a documentary style within your world and its lore? I don't know. I already tackled the mockumentary with the Tick. We did that for 3 episodes. And I'll admit doing a documentary style goes a lot faster, because especially when you know what you're doing. But I don't have any stories that I could tell or that come to mind with any of like my original characters at the moment, where where their personalities are um well known enough that I could just follow them around or something like that. I have to really put my thought into that. I remember some of those BFF threads, people saying that about you whilst praising Aaron, and look how that turned out. Oh yes, how the turntables. Okay, so some lore for everybody. Makoto is referring to the BatmanFanFilm.com threads from back in the day when I would post some of my stuff on there, and people would say I was like an arrogant prick because I have like this big game showy smile and I was a smart aleck. If someone comes to me and say something stupid, I'll call them out for it. I've always been like quick-witted like that, but I always got accused of just being a dick. There's even like, if you Google my name, there's even like some threads where people are saying that I'm a complete dick and a hack or an asshole or God knows what. But if you really know who I am, I'm just a nice guy. I want to be nice to you. I want to be your friend. I'll take the time. I'll talk to you. I'll do whatever. Whereas the Aaron, who he's referring to, is from Bat in the Sun, was praised and hailed as this like benevolent deity of fan filmmaking. And if you've been following anything, you'll know that he's basically being canceled right now for some of the things that he's said and done. I haven't, because I haven't done or said anything. Anything I say or do, I always immediately take credit for, because I have no shame. I said it. Yeah, I said it. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. But so if you guys want some hot goss, go check out Henry Resilient. He has all of the dirt on Bat in the Sun. And if you want any dirt about me, just ask, because I'm an open book. But yeah, man, I got a lot of flack back in the day for people coming for me just because I had a difference of opinion on something, like saying one thing I always have been vocal about was I don't like big budget fan films. I think if you're asking for more than $10,000 on your fan film, there's a problem, because you're presumably pocketing that money. Because I know how much it costs to make a movie, given I make so many movies for so little. And when I see people asking for $100,000, $200,000, $500,000, $4 million, there's a problem. There's a fundamental problem with the concept of a fan film. If you need $4 million and you are somehow getting that, or if you're making something and not putting it out, and you keep doing these crowd funds where it's like, oh, we need finishing funds, we need some more money, blah blah blah. It's disgusting as far as I'm concerned. I've seen these big budget fan films, and it's like, what is special about you now? How are you doing something special if you have the budget of an independent feature? You know, oh, you're telling a story about Jason or Chucky or Scooby Doo or the Power Rangers, but you had the same level budget as like an episode from the CW in the early days. Or I don't like that, and I've always been vocal about it, and I got a lot of flack for it, and I still do get flack for it from people saying, "It's for the fans. They're doing it because they love the fans." I go, "Fuck you, people. They're not doing it for the fans. They want money, so they're over budgeting." Anybody who knows how to make a movie knows you have your production budget. There's above the line and below the line. How much is your director going to get? How much is your crew going to get? And the above the line people who are raising the money are raising enough money that they can make the movie as cheap as possible and pocket the rest of the cash. There's no way in hell somebody is making a feature length film about Jason Voorhees for $150,000 and not walking away with a good payday. And you could say, oh, we need to pay our actors. Yeah, well, what about the director and the producer who are putting it together? They're making money too. And then they're going to sell that movie as well illegally by saying, oh, donate to our thing and we're going to give you a Blu-ray or something like that. And it drives me insane because I get in trouble then because people, the lawyers and everything want to start coming after me and other filmmakers who are just staying in our lane. It's not cool. Let's see. I feel like it's really changed the fan film scene. There's not creativity or soul in them, made of hard work or figuring it out on your own. I agree. I feel that the smaller your budget is with a fan film, the more creative you need to be at problem solving, and the better you will become as a filmmaker in the long run. If money solves all your problems, you're not being challenged. I'll tell you right now, there's a huge difference between having to make a movie with garden lights versus getting, a lighting rig and a truck together and a team to set everything up for you. And that should be a treat that you give yourself when you're actually making a real movie, not a frigging fan film, I really think the whole point of a fan film is to show Hollywood what can be done with innovation. But if you're using the exact same tools as Hollywood, i.e., a budget, there is no innovation to be had. You're doing it the same way that they are. But if you're challenging yourself and doing something that's Hollywood level without that safety net, then you're a better filmmaker as far as I'm concerned because you managed to pull off something that they couldn't figure out with their millions of dollars. Some of those Friday the 13th fan films were pretty good, though. Yeah, of course they're good because they had a budget. I would expect them to be good because they had a budget. You can't tell me, oh, some of the big budget movies were decent. Of course they were. Again, they had money going into it, and that's the point. The point is, can you make a movie without a budget and still have it be good? And if the answer is no, then you're not a good filmmaker. But if you do it without a budget and it's good, you're a good filmmaker. Hello, I love your work. Thank you, Hedgehog Nerd. I appreciate that. Their budgets are put out for single episodes of their beatdowns are actually pretty insane. Yeah, the beatdown episodes are like $100,000, $200,000 for 15 minutes of entertainment. Math that one. Also, by the way, half of it is just two guys in a room talking, and then it's like an 8-minute sequence with maybe like a 4-minute fight scene. And he's saying, "Oh, I need, $200,000 for costumes." No, you don't. No, you don't. He's pocketing that money. Unless you're going to use money to enter a lot of film festivals or for distribution, fan films are used to help someone's career to move forward onto making larger films. That's why they're asking for that much. Ranger 7 Studios, I can literally do half of what they do for maybe $500. I don't need $150,000 to make a Jason fan film because I did it for $200. And I had a really good Jason costume 20 years ago. That's it. I shot on a shitty camera, but I got a better camera now. So I can still do it for the price of the costume. You don't need $150,000 to make a Jason fan film. You need enough money for a good costume, which you can get a good costume for maybe under $1,000. And again, that is me being insanely generous, $1,000 for a Jason costume. Then a couple of effects. You can do that very innovatively. Then let's say you want to enter into festivals. The typical festival is about $25 to $50. Maybe an expensive festival is $100. So you figure it out which ones you want to enter to. Okay, fine. You want to enter 10 festivals. Give yourself $1,000 for that. So now your budget is still under $3,000 in total. You want to do who wants to do a feature length Friday the 13th fan film if you're not going to try and sell it? No. Do a 15-minute fan film. Do a 13-minute fan film. There's no point in doing a feature length fan film if you're not trying to sell it. And don't say, oh, they're trying to pitch it and then get it distributed over. That's not how that works either. Anybody who's in the industry knows if you're making a fan film, you're not going to just get magically picked up and then put onto distribution, especially with Friday the 13th, given the legal shit that's behind that with Victor Miller and Sean Cunningham. So don't give me that crap, okay? The answer is very, very simple. If you're asking for $100,000 to make a fan film, you're pocketing at least $10,000 of that for yourself, which you should not. You shouldn't, period. I don't get paid to make fan films. I get money to make my costumes, and then I make the fan film, and I put it out there and hope for the best. And that's how you should be if you're making a film. If you are truly a benevolent creator and you're just making stuff for the fans, you shouldn't be pocketing any money. And if they say, oh, we're not pocketing any money, we're paying our actors and blah, 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 blah. Bullshit. I'm calling bullshit right now because there is no way in hell you're having a Blu-ray release and you're not pocketing anything from that. Are fan films a double-edged sword since you get exposure but can't monetize the work? Yes, absolutely. What are the fan films you want to make the most in the future? Oh, I kind of sort of made just about everything right now. That's why I'm open to suggestion, because I've made so much that because I've done the big ones: Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash. I've done technically I haven't done Captain America properly. I attempted to, but I never released it. But I've done Deadpool, I've done Wolverine, I've done Spider-Man, I haven't done Iron Man yet, but it doesn't really interest me. So it's like, I don't know. I like to do another Knight Rider maybe, or tackle like an 80s cartoon that I used to watch. I would love to figure out how to pull off Mask. Not The Mask, but Mobile Assault Strike Commandos with a K. That is something I'd like to, wrap my head around. Pole Position would be fun too, but you need cars. You need really cool cars, chase scenes and racing sequences, and I can't pull that off. So, but it's something I'd like to do. Again, fan films can be used to advance in the business. That's why big budget fan films are done. However, I see your point. Just look at David F. Sandberg. I know. Sandberg started out as a fan filmmaker, and look at him now. He did Shazam. So I think the trick is, can you make something that would impress Hollywood that doesn't have a budget? Because that's what Hollywood's looking for. They're looking for people who know how to make something cost effectively. So if you're doing a movie for $150,000, that's the average indie budget. How are you better than somebody who can make something for $1,000? Other than production quality? Well, obviously, if the person with $1,000 had the same production value, they're on par with you. So how do you make yourself stand out? So I really think the challenge as a fan filmmaker is to make it for no money, but it looks like $1 million. That's the true challenge, and that's how you impress Hollywood, and that's how you get hired, or should get hired. But yeah, I do not agree with big budget fan films, and I think they're an absolute MLM. Have you ever seen YouTube movies like Chris Stuckman? I've seen them. I used to follow Stuckman, and I know Critical Drinker, and I'm not going to get into that. Not a fan of Critical Drinker, and Stuckman, good for him. I'm jealous. Do you take it to fan films? Did you take it to fan films? Rephrase your question. I don't know what you mean. I'd love to see. Oh, wait, sorry. Have you thought about doing a Kim Possible fan film? I haven't. If there's a demand for it, I'll consider it. I'd love to see an Exo Squad film. Ooh, Exo Squad would be fun. Dude. Oh man, that'd be awesome. I don't know how the hell I'd pull that one. I mean, a bunch of like those giant mech suits. I gotta reach out to those guys who like make like those giant costumes, like they're doing Warhammer and Thanos and all that stuff. That'd be awesome. I'd want to go practical too. I think it'd be really cool to have like a practical Exo Squad suit, and making it fly would be a pain in the ass, but still having a cool like fight scene. 100,000 is now the Hollywood standard too. That's what I'm saying. $100,000 is a Hollywood standard for a movie. So if you have $100,000 and you're making a movie, why should I be impressed that your movie looks good? It should be expected that your movie looks good. impressed me when you didn't have $100,000 and it looks like $100,000. Have you had the itch to do any other series of any kind? Yeah, I always have an itch to do a series. I don't know if there. It really depends. Like the concept of a series just comes from the demand. So, for example, I'm doing a Phantom Lady series. She's going to get a chapter two, um, end of this year, beginning of next year, because I got 12,000 views in 4 weeks. That's pretty good as far as I'm concerned. It's my most watched video on my channel for this year. So, yeah, you bet your ass, Phantom Lady is getting a part two. Now, if the sequel short doesn't get enough views, then there won't be a part three. But series only come from the demand. If I know that there is a demand, you're going to get a part two, a part three, and so on and so forth. But if no one's watching it and I'm only getting like 100 views, I'm probably not going to continue the series beyond a certain point. So for Haunted City, for example, that was a passion project, and I was doing this because I wanted to do it. But the views aren't there to keep it going. So I wrapped everything up, and that's that. But if something just all of a sudden spiked in viewership, then absolutely I'd try to continue it because, well, why the hell not? Um, okay. I think this is probably a good place to start wrapping everything up. If you have any questions, get them in right now. Otherwise, we'll cap this one off. Um, what was it like doing the Phantom Face series versus some of the newer stuff? So the Phantom Face series, we actually shot the whole thing in a 2 week period. On when people had days off. And it was 5 episodes, and that was just a full-fledged story. So like I had done the first one, and then I wrote 2 through 5 and scheduled everyone. We shot everything in a condensed period of time and got it done. Versus some shorts, it's like, some series you do one, then a couple months pass, and you decide to write a part two, and then you later on write a part three. And they feel like they're tacked on episodes versus getting everyone there at once and shooting it like a feature. So it really just depends. Like it's nice being able to just get everything done at once and have them, versus time passing and then you kind of either lose touch with somebody, fall out with somebody, or lose a location and you have to improvise. So I would definitely say shooting everything all at once is a lot more preferred. So Phantom Lady, Darkman, were two series that were shot all at once. Those are definitely easier on production as opposed to you do one, it does well, then you have to call up everybody and say you want to do a part two, you want to do a part three, so on and so forth. So yeah, that's my answer to that. In the meantime, I humbly invite everyone to click the link in the description below and help support the Miss Fury GoFundMe. We're almost at, I think, $200, which is almost halfway there. Every dollar counts. I just really want to have enough money to get the costume so I can make the movie. I don't need anything else beyond the price of the costume. And then please, share my channel with your friends, your family, anybody who's into comic books or horror movies or just random stupid shit like I do. I thank you all for watching. I thank you all for supporting me over the years. And for those of you who've been there since day one, I salute you. And for those of you who are just joining me, I welcome you. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for supporting my channel. I'm going to wrap this up. Enjoy your weekend. U.S. Agent just released on my channel yesterday. Next month will be Power Girl. We're doing a new Power Girl. And then after that will be hopefully Phantom Lady Chapter 2 and then Miss Fury. So I will see you guys all then. Thank you again for following me. And I'll talk to you guys soon, hopefully. And hopefully we can get 100,000 subscribers and do something really, really cool. Still open to suggestions. Feel free to post them in the comments. I will respond. Bye, everybody.